Welcome back YouTube, KRoad17 here with a brand new F1 2019 career mode video, and it is season 2 Baku. If you guys watched season 1, you will know I absolutely have a affinity for this track. I used to love it in 2018, 2017, and I could not get the hang of it in this game. I won't spoil it for you. If you go back and watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Here we are just doing a little bit of homework. We have a couple resource points, as you guys can see. We are, fourth in that. Our engine's actually not that bad. We're fourth best in the engine compartment. So, I mean, just doing our homework, gearing up. We are currently right in the middle as of performance. So we are making gains, but we're not making as much as I had hoped for. Later on in the season, you'll see that we start climbing our way towards the front. And a lot of the front runner teams start going to the back, but nevertheless we're going to dive into qualifying.
Welcome to qualifying in the Republic of Azerbaijan. The teams are making their last minute adjustments before the lights go green, and the fight for pole position can get underway.
So I'm not going to say I'm expecting much from this qualifying, as I'm really terrible at this track, but I've made a couple adjustments to the setup. The car is a lot better than it was last season. So I'm going to push for maybe getting a Q2 appearance. You never know. But here we are, about ready to cross the line for our first lap of qualifying. I actually did decide to go out and set one earlier to see what my pace was. Cross the line in P2, so that's a good showing. Maybe there's a little hope yet. We're going to dive into the results here. As you guys can see, we actually ended up finishing third on our teammates in 8th. So a good show for Alfa Romeo. We're going to jump into Q2, as surprised we even made it to Q2. But yeah, we're going to see if we can maybe squeak out a Q3, but we crossed the line and we actually go, looks like it was about P6, do I believe? It is P6, so surprisingly, somehow we get ourselves into Q3. Was not expecting that whatsoever. Our teammate actually gets knocked down and has a 10-spot grid penalty. For he must have had collision with somebody. I have no idea, but that's really bizarre. I think that's the first time I've seen that in the career mode. And here we are finishing our final lap in Q3. Let's see where we're going to start for this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I almost said Belgian Grand Prix for some reason, but never mind. Baku Grand Prix, we crossed the line. Crossing the line, it looked like P4. Jeff says it's good work, and we are at P4, so not a bad showing for the Alfa Romeo team. Unfortunate for our teammate.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3. Hamilton, Leclerc and Valtteri Bottas. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Join you then, I shall, for what is going to be probably Demolition Derby on my point, but onto the race.
Good afternoon and welcome to Baku. This was the arena, if you think back to 2017, of one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and for Lance Stroll. So let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Why don't we kick off by discussing Max Verstappen? Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be. It's about effective damage limitation.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Bottas, Rose, Nico Hülkenberg, and Stroll, Perez, Magnussen, Vettel and Alexander Albon, Ricciardo, Butler, Max Verstappen and Grosjean. Weber, Gasly, they've taken a grid penalty. Lando Norris and George Russell, Raikkonen and Carlos Sainz will start from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, the run into turn 1 isn't too long, so the pack will be bunched up. Take care.
So our teammate takes a grid spot penalty for, I'm guessing it's going to be engine components. We're actually going to look into our race strategy now. I believe the one stop is the way to go. We're going to drop the fuel just a little bit because Baku for some reason seems to be very, very dependent on fuel. And I know our car is not upgraded that much yet, so diving into this race, waiting for those 5 red lights to drop. P4, can we make it P3 by the first turn? Get a decent start, and Bottas gets a better start than us. Leclerc is already battling Hamilton there. We get squeezed by Stroll. That was quite a cheeky move by Stroll, so we give him a little bit of a side pod touch and let him know we're there, and we're going to tap tires again. Very punchy from Stroll and myself in the early stages of this race, but we do get into P4, maintain P4. Is he going to have a look on us in, here, I think this is turn 3, turn 4. Doesn't look that way. We actually pull the gap down a little bit between us and Bottas. Hamilton's right up there. Leclerc is keeping hold of this lead currently. Let's see what this pans out after lap 1. We do have a lot of tricky, tight corners to get through, including the infamous castle section.
That start was okay. Now stay alert for threats around you.
Will do. Mostly the walls are my biggest threat. If you don't know that from last season, Jeff, let's go back and have a history lesson. But here we are through the castle section. I did really work on this track because I lost so much. I used to absolutely love this track, and this, I believe, is probably my weakest part of the season. For some reason, I just can't get to grips with it. Here we are, lap 4. Haven't made too much gains. We do get around Bottas, and now we're following Hamilton and Leclerc, as you guys can see. So we have made a little bit of a gain. Stroll actually followed us through and got around Bottas. And I believe we are going to try and see if we can keep up with Hamilton. His car is pretty strong in a straight line. We're going to brake, not hard enough that you don't want to slide into that wall. Season 1, if you guys haven't seen, go back and watch it. It's ridiculous. But Hamilton right in front of us. We are going to have DRS. Can we get around him? Can we maybe even pull a large enough, I guess you'd say, pull on Leclerc as well? But here we are, ready to open the DRS, go for the outside look. We get actually around Hamilton before DRS is open. So we're actually going to have a really good look at Leclerc. The slipstream is so strong here.
You'll be on the hards.
Leclerc actually pulled for the inside to cover it off and covers us off over that corner. So we actually have to tuck into P2 and maintain this position. He did a really good job. The AI did a really good job there of hanging on to that position. But now we are in P2. We do have DRS. Back up to lap 5, I believe we are getting near our pit stop strategy. I think this is the lap we ultimately actually do dive for the pits and put on the hard set of the compound to go to the end of this race. We do get a really good run out of that fast S section. Going to pull up right behind Leclerc, but the problem is I actually have to dive for the pits, and I decided not to. I decided to go for one more lap on this set of softs, even though these softs were starting to die. As you guys can see, I am struggling a little bit with my fuel. It keeps diving.
We're leading our teammate by 13.2 seconds.
Thanks for interrupting me, Jeff. But as you guys can see, I was talking about my fuel. I was battling between positive fuel and negative fuel. Here we are, lap 10. I'm going to dive for the pits finally and get those hard set of tires set on to finish this race. And as you guys can see, I'm starting to try a little bit harder to attack the pit lane entrance. I don't really have it completely, figured out yet. I know there's a certain way you can attack at full speed and then stomp on those brakes and get in there perfectly fine. But my problem is every time I do that, I end up locking up and sliding across, speeding too fast. So there's some random set of tires back in the pit lane. Don't know what that is, but nevertheless, we're going to dive back out of the pits and get right ahead of the McLaren. I believe we settled out in I think it's 8, P9, I can't remember. I actually ran this race a little ways back, so I'm kind of rewatching it and learning as I go, just like you guys are learning as McLaren's battling the Williams right behind us. I actually think that Looks like the Williams has gotten around the McLaren, so pretty good showing for the Williams. They do look strong in this Grand Prix, but we are on lap 14 of 26. We're pretty much just about ready to cross the halfway point. We do have Leclerc behind us, or ahead of us, and we have Stroll behind us. I really have to get used to saying, you know, Stroll behind us.
Okay, you're in the top 10.
But we're going to go for a look on Leclerc, and we're going to hang it to the outside, leave him as much room as possible, and he actually tucked in behind us and allowed us to have that space, so that is us up to P2 with Hamilton right ahead of us as I almost hit that wall, and I almost chipped the wing. That happens quite a bit, but here we are coming up. I believe Leclerc is going to have one heck of a run on us. I have nothing, you know, to fight him against. I'm not going to fight him. I'm just going to let him go right on past, and we're just going to try to stick with him.
You can win that place back.
Trust me, Jeff, I'm planning on it. I just have to buy my time because these walls are very close to themselves and us, so I don't want to go getting too punchy in the middle of the race. I do have a lot of race left. I have a lot of laps left. Let's see what we can do with the remaining laps in this race. Leclerc keeping that inside line, making his car as wide as possible. He's actually going to tuck us out, so we're going to have to just follow him through. That was really good again from the AI to kind of block us off a bit and make his car as wide as possible so we couldn't make the move on the inside or the outside. So, I mean, it's impressive how much the AI has changed since.
If you think you can get past, increase ERS deployment to overtake mode.
Let's be honest, Jeff. Who in their right mind is going to use overtake at the castle section of this track? It's not going to be me. I'm going to keep that thing off and save when I have the opportunity to go around him. But we do have Stroll that's looking very, very pacey right behind us. So we're going to have to mind him, and believe it or not, I believe that he gets quite a run on us like his teammate did the last lap in this fast section. The straight line speed of this Ferrari is super strong. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We do have a race ahead of us. Lap 16 of 26. We have 10 laps to go. We are in the hard set, so we are on the slowest tire. But they should last us a lot more than some of the other teams. I know some of the guys have gone to the mediums. But look at Stroll, and I believe that Vettel in the Haas is following him. And these guys are just going to make mincemeat out of me. I'm just going to stay here, not move on any of them. But Vettel kind of sticks behind me. Doesn't go for a move. Stroll right around me. I take it back. Vettel's going to look for an inside look. Gets really close to the wall, but it looks like I just about didn't have enough room. It's still side by side, and he's gonna tuck it. We do tap walls or tap tires a little bit. That was close, a little bit too close for comfort. But I gotta say, we have made it further than last season. So here we are having a good look at Stroll. Stroll seems to be a bit slow. I'm not sure why. But we have caught up to him significantly, so if we just the wheels, I guess they're magnets to each other in this race. But we have a great run on Stroll. We do have DRS. He's going to do the same as his teammate, and he's going to make his car as wide as possible. We're going to have to see if we can outbrake him, and we go really dangerously into that the corner. But we do make it stick somehow, and we get around him. Now we have Leclerc and Hamilton ahead of us. There's a yellow flag, green flag, yellow flag again.
Okay, clear.
Who could that be? I was wondering. It actually happened right behind me. So, and it looks like the Ferrari, the red Ferrari Stroll, has ultimately DNF'd out of this race. He's not going to finish. So Lance Stroll is out. Let's jump back and see exactly what happened to him. He is battling Vettel here very strongly, and he's going to come down. Basically, I believe it is below his engine. So his engine completely just blows up in front of him, right in front of the Renault driver, and he's going to tuck out. This is kind of dangerous. He just stays a little bit on the racing line. No, he doesn't, but he's out of the race. So that's one driver behind us that we have to worry about. Lap 24 of 26. I do tap the wall and get
Yellow flag.
even more damage to my car.
Be aware, there's an incident in the next part of the track. No overtaking through the yellow flags.
Another car seems to be out of this Grand Prix, and it looks to be a racing point. It might be either Grosjean or it might be Ricciardo. I can't tell from here. As you guys can see, I'm really struggling now with the wing damage that I have, so I'm going to try my best to keep a hold of Perez, who's actually flying at this moment. And I believe he's gotten ahead of Vettel, so Perez has had one heck of a comeback race as we get really tight into the castle section. That actually was a tongue-in-cheek moment. I thought I was going to hit that wall, kind of full of a Leclerc moment, but luckily I got through on the last lap, coming, across the last few set of corners. Can I keep it ahead? Perez looks for a little cheeky look, but ultimately tucks back in, thinks better of it. And this is where you can see I really struggle with the wing, just trying to get it around that corner. Hamilton actually picks up the win at the Baku Grand Prix, and this is where I thought I was going to lose it. Slamming that wall as hard as you can. I mean, nothing wrong with there, but Vettel is looking really punchy at the end. Perez is looking really punchy. I did not know who to cover. Are we going to cross the line? And we're actually going to grab P3. Wow, that's a lot.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. Let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. Lewis Hamilton takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after an excellent result. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, Renault move up the table with another strong performance this weekend. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So I will give you a little spoiler ahead of the action that's about to come for the rest of the season. Do not get used to Mercedes being on that podium. There's some big shakeups that are coming your way if you guys stay tuned, but nevertheless, we're going to dive into the interview. That was one heck of a race.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. Devin did much better in today's race than he did in qualifying. Were you expecting that?
He always pushes as hard as he can. It's what makes him an ultimate worthy opponent, even for me.
You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?
Claire, with the team behind me, I don't think so.
Do you think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash?
Are you trying to give me nightmares of last season? Apart from smacking the walls and taking off my wing, I don't remember any crash, so no comment.
Appreciate your time.
Guys, that has been the Baku Grand Prix of Season 2. If you enjoyed this video, please smack that subscribe button. Come back, view some more videos with me. We're having fun here. But until the next time, I'm going to leave you off with the race highlights, and I will see you guys all on the next video.